Welcome all. Today we will discuss about the difference between statement and prepared statement. Now, what is the use of prepared statement in PHP? It is basically concerned topic in the database operation. Database is the collection of data in your backend database management software. It can be MySQL, MS Excel, MS Access, Postgres, Sybase, Oracle, etc. This database is like a directory or a folder or a container which might be having multiple tables, and each table will be having multiple records. Each record is a collection of columns, and in each column we can have the value of different data type. Now, there are multiple SQL queries that we have used for performing DML, that is data manipulation language, and DDL, that is data definition language commands. We have created database using create database query. We have created table under database using create table name and giving table name in bracket, giving the name of columns and its data type. We can insert the record in a table by using insert query. We can display records using select query. We can modify the record in a table using update query. We can remove the record from the table using delete query. It may be required that while executing a program, we need to execute a query multiple times. Let us take example of insert query. For inserting a new record in the table of your database, we need to prepare a SQL query in the format insert into table name. In bracket, we have to give the column names, values. In bracket, we have to give the values to the respective columns mentioned in the column name parenthesis. Now, suppose I am having this EMP table with ID, name, and salary columns, and currently I am having three records in it. If I want to insert a record of new employee, I need to form a query in one variable, suppose $S1. We have to write the query in double quotes. Insert into the name of table is EMP. I want to pass the value for three columns ID, name, salary, and the values are, and we give the values separated by comma in the values parenthesis. If the values are numbers, no need to include in a bracket or double quotes. But when it is a string or character, we have to enclose that value in a single quote. Once the query is built, we have to run the query by using mysqli underscore query and pass the object of connection and the name of the query variable. This method will return true if the query is executed successfully. If I run this query and if it returns true, it means the record gets inserted at the next position in a EMP table. Now, if I want to insert one more record, so what we will do? I will create one more variable for SQL query. I will write the query again. I will just change the value and I will execute query again. Upon successful execution of query, then the new record will be inserted at the latest position. If I want to insert hundreds of records now, so we have to declare 100 variables for it, and we have to write the insert query 100 times. But by using this pattern, what do we observe? Writing query each time we need to type it, that is okay, but the line of code will increase, and each time the query will be compiled by the compiler. If 100 times I write insert into table name values, 100 times that insert into query will be compiled and then it will be executed. So it becomes an overhead to the compiler. Every time compiling a query for checking the syntax, for checking the parameters, for checking the case and missing values, parentheses, it is a complete overhead for each time of the query compilation. So that this method of repeating the query and executing typing it again doesn't seem good. Now solution is we can use the prepared statement way. Now how it can help us? So by using prepared statement way, we have to write or type the query once even though you want to execute it multiple times. If I want to insert 100 records, that doesn't mean I have to type the insert into command 100 times. No need. We can write the query only once. So there will be only one insert into statement in our code. And that query will be compiled only once. No need of 100 times compilation for each query because the query is written only once, so the query will be compiled only once, but the query can be executed multiple times as and when required. So for 100 time inserting a record, we have to write the insert into query once. It will be compiled only once and we can execute that 100 times. So this is the benefit of prepared statement method or way. Now how we have to write the code using prepared statement way. Now for using the prepared statement methodology, we have to write the query with question mark. So how we can write it? In one variable, we will be writing insert into name of table, name of columns, values, and the values which will be changing for every employee record. For 100 times, if you want to insert 100 records, obviously the ID and name and salary will be different for 100 employees. So that values are changing. So while preparing or while writing a query in the prepared statement way, in the query itself, we have to mention the changing values with the question mark. Now, in this example, I am showing the insert query repetition. So that's why if I want to insert three values for these columns, so there are three values. That's why I am putting three question marks in the bracket and close the double quotes of the query. Now the query is written once with the question mark. We have to prepare this query so that we can take one object. So in the dollar statement variable, we are preparing this query by using method mysqli underscore prepare in bracket pass the connection object and pass the query variable which is having question marks. Now this statement variable is the prepared statement. Next way, we have to bind the variables to prepared statement as a parameter. So how that can be done? we have to use the method mysqli underscore statement underscore bind underscore param. In bracket, we have to pass the object of SQL query, comma, and give the type of the value that we are going to put in the different fields of the question mark. The type can be I for integer, D for double, S for string, and B for blob, and which will be sent as a packet. As of now, just think of IDS, I for integer, D for double, and S for string. So it means for this query, at three question mark, which type of data I am going to put at the time of execution, that data type we are mentioning at this type. So how we can write that? MySQLi underscore statement underscore bind underscore param dollar SQL comma in double quotes we have to put as these values are id is a number, so for id it will be I. For name, the second question mark will be string, that's why it will be S. For column third salary, it will be again a number, so for third question mark it will be I. So I. So here we will write dollar $SQL, comma, in double quotes ISI, and we will pass ID, name, salary variables over here. And at the end, we have to run that query by using mysqli underscore statement underscore execute and the object of statement class. Now we will see one code for demonstrating the use of prepared statement in PHP. Before that, we will check the current scenario of our PHP My Admin dashboard. Let us start our XAMPP control panel. Let us start the MySQL services. Click on admin. It will start localhost PHP My Admin. But if you can observe, localhost is available at port number 8080. So I have to write over here localhost colon 8080 and then enter. Now our PHP My Admin panel will open up. Here in the last session, we had created an employee database having EMP table, and this EMP table is having ID, name, and salary, and there are currently two records in it. Now, we will write a code for the execution of insert query using prepared statement in PHP. Start tag of PHP, then we will establish a connection by mysqli underscore connect. In bracket we have to give parameter as localhost, comma, the username of our mysql database is root. In the next parameter we are giving empty string because the password is empty, and here we are giving the name of our database. So name of our database is employee. So that we have given over here and close the parenthesis. This connection is established and we will refer that connection using con object. We have to check if the connection is established or not. If $con is identical to false, it means there is an error that can be displayed by using echo or die function, and else we can move further. Now we have to prepare the query for the prepared statement with question mark. So that I am preparing in $SQL variable insert into table name is emp. In bracket we have to pass the name of the column, id, name, salary, and we have to mention the values parenthesis with question mark. So we are putting, because we want to give three values while executing this query, so that three changing values are placed with the question mark. So query is formed. Now we have to prepare the query using prepare method, and then we have to bind parameter, and then we have to run. Now we will prepare query if in dollar statement variable we are preparing a query using mysqli underscore prepare. In bracket we are giving the object of connection, comma we are passing the query variable. If it successfully returns true, then only we will only we will bind the parameter by using mysqli underscore statement underscore bind underscore param method, and in bracket we will pass this statement object which is prepare dollar statement, and we have to give the types of data type. So for this statement variable which is written by preparing the SQL query with the question mark for this connection, now this statement will be referred to bind this statement with the data type for this question marks. So for ID there is a first question mark, so it is having integer, so we will write over here I. Second question mark is having name, so it will be S. Third question mark is for salary, which is an integer, so it will be I. Double quotes complete for the types. And for that, suppose I am taking three variables I am taking for passing the values at runtime. Suppose dollar id, you can use another name or you can use the same column name, whichever you think convenient. Dollar id, name, and salary. Now the parameters are bind. Now we have to execute the query. Now everything is done. The query is written only once with question mark. The query is prepared, and that prepared query is bind with the parameters with respective data type, and there will be variable for assigning values at runtime. Now use this variable for setting the values. Now suppose I want to insert a first record. So I have to give the integer value in place in this variable. Then I have to pass the string value in this name variable. Then use integer type of data for storing in salary variable. So if I want to execute the query, before that I have to assign value to this variable. Suppose I want to give id as 10. Then in the name variable, suppose I want to give pqr, and in the salary option, in the salary variable I want to give option as a 90,000. And now the variables are put over here. Now variables are having the values. Now for running the query, we will use mysqli underscore statement underscore execute method, and in bracket we have to pass the this statement object, so dollar statement. Now the query will be executed. Now let us check after execution of query, we will display a message inserted record successfully. Now we will close the if bracket. This will be executed only if the query is prepared well. Else we have to give a message as echo could not prepare query, and we have to close the statement by using mysqli underscore statement underscore close method, and in bracket the object of statement that we have created at upper side, and finally close the connection by using mysqli underscore close and in bracket object of con. End of PHP tag. Now suppose I am saving this file under XAMPP htdocs as a db3.php. Save the file. We have to start our local host at port number 8080. The dashboard will be open. Now we have to give the name of our file db3.php. It is showing that inserted record successfully. Let us check at our PHP My Admin dashboard. Now refresh the PHP admin port. See the third position record is inserted with ID 10, name PQR and salary 90,000. Now you might be thinking we have created query once, we have compiled once and we have executed one. Now here come the use of prepared statement. Now if I want to insert 2 3 records more, I need not to write the query again, compile again, bind parameter again. No need. We have to just assign the value and we have to run the query. So I am copying this code for setting value into ID. Suppose I am changing ID to 20. Name suppose I am giving XYZ. Salary suppose 9,000. Execute the query and give the message. Save the code, go to the local host, execute our program, inserted record successfully. Now check the PHP admin panel, refresh the page. Next record is inserted as we had kept this over here itself. That's why there are two records inserted for the PQR XYZ. Now suppose I want to give next values. You have to just change the values of variables over here, and the records will be inserted with the change value. So what we observe over here, that let us execute the code, refresh the execution of code, inserted record successfully. Go to PHP My Admin panel, refresh the file. The records are inserted, LMN and triple X. So it means we can write query once with the changing values as a question mark, and we have to bind the parameters with the data type, and we have to use variable names. Just before executing the query with execute method, just assign the values to the variables declared over here and run the query. So no need to type the query again and again, and there will be no need to compile the query again. Now this method we can apply for the insert, update, select and delete query, because many of the times we need to execute the same query multiple times. We have to just change the query. Now, suppose I want to delete the records multiple times. So, instead of going with the statement way, we will go with the prepared statement way. So, we will form the delete query once, delete from EMP, and now where we have to give the name of the column and we have to give the value. Suppose id is equal to question mark. Here id can be changing each time whenever we want to delete a query. So the query is formed with question mark. This is prepared statement. Now here there is only one question mark. Now the query will be prepared with the prepare method. We have to bind the parameter in this statement variable. Now the data type will be only one because there is only one question mark. Now the data type of id variable is integer. So we will just have I over here only one time because there is only one question mark. And suppose we are having variable as a id only. So only one variable will exit over here. Now, whenever I want to run a query, I will just have the ID value set for the variable. We will run the query and then we will give the message over here deleted record successfully. Then we will change the ID value and then we will execute the query and then we will run the query and we will give the message as deleted record successfully. Save the code. This is the current scenario of our table. Suppose I want to delete a record of employee having ID is 10 and 20. Let us set that over here 10 and 20. Save the code. We will go to localhost, run our db3.php. Message is shown over here 2 times deleted record successfully. Let us check in the PHP My Admin panel. Refresh the page. The record with ID 10 and ID 20 are deleted. So this is how we can use the prepared statement for execution. So in this session we have seen what is the use of prepared statement. Prepared statement is used when we want to execute same query multiple times. So there is no need to write a query again and again. There is no need to compile the query each time. Instead of that, we will just write the query once. We will compile the query once and we will run the query multiple times. It will save our typing time. It will reduce the length of a code. It will avoid the compilation overhead of the PHP compiler and it will execute the code in a faster way. For using the prepared statement way, first of all, we have to form or build a query with question marks. And second step, we have to prepare the query with the prepare method for the created query. And in the third step, we have to bind the data type to the variables for placing in place of question mark. And lastly, we have to run the query using execute method. Before that, we have to assign value into the variables and then run the query. You can run the query as and when you want. So this is the use of prepared statement. Hope you have understood the concept. Thank you.